Good people, good people, good people. Welcome to another edition of Commander's Wrap, where you get all your Commander's news in 15 minutes. I'm your host, Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan, joined here by my co host, Kevin Bayne. Remember that we air every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and replay at 10 a.m. on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible. How are you doing today, Kevin?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Can't complain. We're headed into this next game with the Bengals, and we get to see the starters for a little bit. So I'm kind of really excited about that. I gotta get that last game, like the
Yes,
taste of it out of my mouth.
absolutely.
Yeah. Are you excited about the game? Are you going to be able to watch it? Are you working or what?
I am. I'm actually. I'll probably be able to see a part of it. I don't know about the whole thing, but then I'll have access to it on the radio. So,
Right, right.
um, yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to be tuning in there.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Well, let's go ahead and get started with our first segment, Kevin, and it kind of recaps the Commanders' Burgundy and Gold intrasquad scrimmage that they had this past Wednesday. We've got an insider report from Ben Standig, an insider rumor, I should say, about B-Rob that's got fans all aflutter. And Kingsbury gave some insight about the impact of Terry and Noah's absence on the offense, which is pretty big as they just bought Terry off the pup list. So what do you want to say, Kevin? First about that Burgundy and Gold game, and then about that suspicious rumor that came out from Ben Standig, and then about our news with Terry coming off the pup and the impact of him missing some time here during training camp.
So yeah, I'll start out with Terry and Noah and even Cosme too, which Cliff had mentioned. Um, in my opinion, Cliff seemed a little, probably a bit frustrated, and I would be too. Um, Basically, what he was saying is, it's hard to gauge and see where your offense is when you're missing both of your outside wide receivers and your starting guard. Uh, we all know what Terry is to his team. He's Jaden's go-to. He's a huge part of this offense. I don't think it's any secret that he's the most important offensive player on this team behind Jaden Daniels. And basically, Cliff is saying, he needs them on the field, practicing together, meshing together. Something needs to get done to make that happen. Uh, when you're missing key guys like Terry, Cosme, Noah, it's a huge part of the offense. And in no way do I think we're going to be the same or better without those guys. Uh, for me personally, it's a bit frustrating to see this specifically with Terry. We just had this amazing season after being so dysfunctional for so many years. Things finally started to move in the right direction. We had a great season. And then this off season should have been about what improvements we've made that are going to get us to the next level. But instead, it's about contract disputes and key players recovering from injuries. And yeah, I don't know, hoping for the best there. With B Rob, yeah, there's definitely been a little noise about him possibly being traded. And I know you and I talked, Dr. Wonderful, and you mentioned to me probably a couple of weeks ago, if not a little longer, that you wouldn't be surprised at all if Robinson was traded at some point. And my first initial reaction was like, you really think so? Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know. But the more I thought about it, looking at who's currently on the roster at that position, his performance and the biggest being his final year of the contract, it really shouldn't be a surprise, so to speak. Um, I've always liked B Rob, especially when he had the incident that occurred a few years ago, his rookie year. You know, being shot in the attempted robbery twice in the leg. Of course, he was hospitalized for that, went under surgery. Then he was back making his debut by week 5. And I was like, damn, he returned that quick. And that just made me want to like him, root for him even more. With that being said, the numbers are the numbers there, right? He's rushing for about 800 yards. It's just kind of been average. And if you feel like you can improve the position, then that's what you do. I will say, for what it's worth, his numbers have improved every season he's been here. rushing yards, yards per carry, touchdowns, all improved each season. But even with that and him having a decent season this year, if he's here, I don't think it's likely he would be re-signed. So if you're Peters, you could be thinking, if there's a good chance he won't be returning after this year, why not go ahead and try to get a draft pick for him now? Especially with the 2026 draft is projected to be deep at the running back position. Sources even alleging this could be one of the best running back classes we've seen in many years. It's not crazy to think you could get a steal at the position, even in some of the later rounds. And yeah, I don't know. I'll just say this. I don't know if we've seen enough at this point uh, to make the move of getting rid of Brian Robinson now. I haven't seen enough from Crosby Merritt. Not saying that can't change. There's still preseason games left, training camp. But just right now, I don't know. I kind of assume a team might be willing to give up a sixth or seventh round pick for him. And yeah, it's good to get a pick, for another year. But you're not helping us this year. That sixth or seventh round pick doesn't help now for this season. We're definitely in a win now mode. And I don't know if some fans realize not only how difficult it can be to get to that win now mode, but how quickly that window can shut. You look at a couple teams, a couple quality NFC teams like Detroit and the Rams. Do you have either of them winning the Super Bowl this year, much less getting to them? Uh, so it's like if B Rob were to be dealt, I would want a fifth or better, and that's only if you feel like the rest of the backs we currently have can get the job done. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Right. What did you think about the Burgundy and Gold scrimmage?
Yes, yes, a lot of. I thought it was better. I thought I was seeing more hustle, um, and it just seemed like they were, I don't know, a little bit more together, so to speak, versus what they were um, in the New England game. Um, but yeah, I'm really hoping for this Cincinnati game that they can get things turned around.
Right. Right. Certainly, when it comes to, in response to what you said, when it comes to the Terry situation, I understand that, we're like, God, we don't need this headache, so forth and so on. But, it's normal. I need fans to, we should all understand that contract disputes are quite normal and become more so when a team is good.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So yes, this is it's a frustrating time, right? But contract disputes are very, very normal, and this just feels odd for us because of the way that we have historically handled contracts. But you have to ask yourself, has that handling actually been right? Right? Have we historically, before Adam Peters, done contracts right? Most of the time, we were absolutely wrong in some of those. So this is
absolutely. Yep,
right. And we don't even have to give the list. So
yep.
the thing with Terry, this is absolutely very much a normal thing. I would like to say about B Rob, yes, we discussed it, but I also said if it happened, I couldn't see it happening until like at the trade deadline,
Right,
which isn't
right,
until
right.
November,
Yes,
and that I could not see it happening just because there's some young guy in the back. Brian Robinson is a very, very good running back, right? I'm not going to just let that go because there's a young kid out there who has vision and a jump step,
yes,
right? Like, can you block?
yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah,
can
yeah,
you block? Can you do what Jeremy McNichol did to that guy when
yep,
Jaden threw that pass against zero cover? Like, you have to do things as a running back. If it was just about running, there'd be a lot of more running backs in this league if it was just about running.
yep.
So I need to see more from him in blocking. I need to see more from him in the pass game. And other reporters have also said, John Keim just recently said he just hasn't seen anything that would cause um, 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 Bill to take over B Rob, right? That's not a one-to-one replacement, and I do agree with him on that for certain. And as for that burgundy and gold game, well, I'm glad you came away hopeful. I came away pissed because I was like, this offense. This offense is giving me concerns. The line is giving me concerns more so than anything else because when Terry and Noah return, and they will, I expect certain things like that to improve. But the line, this suspected starting line, has not played together the entire training camp. And that matters. So I'm very concerned with us about that line when it comes to the first half. That's why I was really upset about the burgundy and gold game, and was a little bit happier with, later scrimmages with the offense doing a little bit more in practices later. But yeah, I wasn't I wasn't all that thrilled. I mean, a lot of people are thrilled with defense, but I think as fans,
Yeah.
we just gravitate towards offense, as it were. But certainly both offense and defense are going to get a test in this preseason game against the Bengals, Kevin, which is going to be the center of our second segment. Our preseason game Monday night against the Cincinnati Bengals. Everyone remembers that last game last year against the Cincinnati Bengals being what some would call Jaden Daniels' "I am here, I have arrived" moment in the NFL. And while this is not a regular season game, Joe Burrow and the Bengals should, and I would say will, provide a stiff test for this Commanders defense. And like I had said, the Washington offense has been at most inconsistent in training camp for some of the reasons that we just stated. But the Bengals defense is still showing serious deficiencies, Kevin. So this game against the Bengals is considered a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
What do you need to see from the offense and the defense to have confidence that we're headed in the right direction? And what would happen in the game, right, for you to be a bit discouraged about where the offense and defense are headed right now?
So yeah, I'll just reiterate that what you mentioned too is I think it's important to again point out that the Bengals are going to be playing their starters a lot more in this game versus what they did in their first preseason game against Philly, which I believe was a few series against Philly, which is great because our defense is going to be getting Burrow and going against some really good wide receivers, and it's a really good test. But yeah, I want to see, you know, what's been reported in our own training camp translate to the field. Uh, Ultimately, that's when it counts. And I want to see these rookies, these second string guys on the bubble, really, really get after it, make some plays. I want to see a mirror of last season, or even better, moving the ball down the field. I want to see these guys be able to stop the run. Uh, I want to see the secondary where we've had some big changes, really, really step up. And if they can do those things, or most of them, I'll definitely feel more confidence going into the regular season. As far as what I need to see to be discouraged, would be exactly what they did for the most part against New England. Um, eh, I say for the most part, like the offensive line, they played good, so I'm not pointing them out. But if the defense is allowing running backs again to run all over them, if guys are dropping passes, if guys are missing tackles, they should definitely be making. If special teams is allowing huge chunks of yards or giving up touchdowns, I'm really going to be at a loss of words. Another big thing that they had last week, and I mentioned it too, was penalties. We had way, way, way too many penalties, and again, a lot of those were pre-snap penalties, which kind of make it like rubbing salt in the wound almost. Those are really bad. It's just frustrating to see that, and so they've got to get those things cleaned up. So if those things continue, though, I'm definitely going to be a bit concerned.
Right. As you should be, and like you said, as we both will be. But we'll be giving fans our low and high predictions for the Washington Commanders right before the season begins. And so maybe some of that will play into this. Be sure to look out for that episode as it will drop in the next coming weeks. But right now, that is the end of this particular episode, and we're going to be back next week with a recap of the Monday night game, the rest of some training camp practices, and the last preseason game against the Ravens. For Kevin Bayne, this is Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan, and this has been your latest episode of Commanders Wrap, where you get all your relevant Commanders news in 15 minutes.